This is your midterm review for Algebra 1. I'm going to go through each question. I recommend trying this on your own first and then watching the video. The answers are in our Google Classroom, okay? So here is for Chapter 1. You can pause the video anytime, and Chapter 2. This video is going to be on Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3. Hopefully I can get the whole thing in, but if I can't, it'll be Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. So you can pause the video if you need to check the answers. Okay? All right. So it says order the numbers from least to greatest. The problem we have here is that these numbers are all different. One's a decimal, one's a fraction, one's a decimal, and one's a fraction. We know a third is 0.3 repeating. Okay, and then 1 divided by 7. What is that? So that is 0.142. Okay. So it says from least to greatest. Now be careful, sometimes it says greatest to least. So the lowest number is the -1. And then the next one would be 0.1. Now they didn't write it as 0.1. They wrote it as 1/7. Oh, it's negative. Okay. And it's closer to 0 than this one. So the order still would be the same. So it's -1/7. And then the next one would be 0.3, which is 1/3. And then 0.5. Okay. You have to leave it in its original state. On your keystone, it's mostly multiple choice. If it was an open-ended question, then you'd have to do it like that. Evaluate. Evaluate means to simplify given that you substituted. So whenever I replace a variable, I put parentheses. I'm replacing m with 3. I'm replacing t with 4. And I'm replacing p with 7. So this is going to be equivalent to 9, 3 squared, plus 3 times 4, which is 12, times 7, that's going to be 84. When you add them together, you should get 93. Here's the thing, you have a calculator, you can just type it right in, but you don't really need one. Evaluate. Like I said, you could type it in your calculator or think about it. Parentheses comes first, exponents, we don't have any. Multiplication, division. So it's going to be 16 times 1 plus 4. Inside the parentheses, we're going to deal with 18 divided by 2, which is 9, and then we have -9. We're going to still deal with the parentheses, so it's 16 times 1 plus 4 times the quantity, 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 16 times 1 is 16. Your answer is C. Okay. Number 4, it says simplify. It's beside this whole quantity. So when things are beside each other, that implies multiplication. So 2 to 7n is 14n. 2 to 5m, it's being distributed, 10m. 2 to 3m negative is -6m. There's no other n's, so it's 14n. 10 minus 6 is 4m. And that is D. Here it says, which statement bestly describes a daily stock price? The price was unchanged. That's not true. Then decreased sharply. The price was unchanged. No, it wasn't unchanged. It kept going down. The price rose sharply. No. The price declined sharply. Boom. And then leveled off. Boom. Yep. Your answer is D. Here it says, what is the domain of the relation? Domain is your x values. So let's talk about these x values. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at -4. We're at -2. We're at -1 for both of them. We're at 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So our answer is B. Okay. All right, number 7. Which is a true statement about a relation? This one right here. The relation's not a function. Well, can it pass the vertical line test? It doesn't pass here. You're telling me my output is here, but then my output's here. So it's not a function. Let's go through. The value of x increases. Not always. The value of x increases as y increases. No, that would be like this. As one gets bigger, one gets smaller. The relation is a linear function. It doesn't look like it's on a line. Nope. So that's our answer. All right. Let's flip. It says determine which relation is a function. Well, does this pass the vertical line test? No. Does this? No. You're telling me 3 goes here. That's fine as long as it always goes here. This always goes here. This always goes here. This always goes here. And this, oh, yep. Well, here you're telling me 1 goes to -2, and now you're telling me 1 goes to 3. Nope. Your answer is C. Interpret the y-intercept of the graph. So where do we intercept or cross the y-axis? We intercept at 500. It says Anna owes $10 before making any payments. That doesn't make sense. Each payment Anna makes is 50. Well, it says 500. That there's nothing to do with a y-intercept, even if that was true. Anna owes $500 before making any payments. Yes, so you begin at 0 and $500 is owed. C. Interpret the end behavior of the function. The amount owed decreased. Yeah, if you're paying on a payment, it would decrease. The payment amount decreases. No, your payment amount wouldn't decrease because there's a constant rate of change. It's a constant payment a month. Your overall amount decreases. The amount owed increases. Well, that doesn't make any sense. The payment amount increases. No, it's consistent. There's a constant rate of change. So your answer is A. Number 1 on chapter 2 now. So number 1, it said, was expressions, equations, and functions. Chapter 2 now is just about linear equations. This is stuff you did in middle school. So how do I get rid of multiplying -4 sevenths? I'm going to multiply by -7 fourths. Some people are like, do I multiply by a negative or don't I? Well, you need to get to a positive 1 because you want positive 1k. So if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Well, 28 divided by 4 is going to be 7. 7 times 7 is 49. The negatives cancel. Yep, A. Number 2, solve. Well, I have to get y by itself. That's solving. Isolating our variable. So I have to get rid of positive 2, and I have to get rid of 7. How do I get rid of a positive 2? I have to subtract 2. So 7y equals 42. Divide by 7, we get a beautiful 6. That's not always the case. You might get a decimal, you might get a fraction, but we have a very nice number. The beauty of math is you can check your work. If I put 6 back in, 7 times 6 is 42. 42 plus 2 is 44. Number 3, a number is divided by 4. A number is divided by 4. The result is added to 5. You're just deciphering. You're translating a chunk at a time. This result is multiplied by 3. So this whole fat thing is multiplied by 3 to give equals 27. All right, we can distribute the 3 if you want, or we could just divide both sides by 3 to begin with. If you divide both sides by 3, you're going to get x over 4 plus 5 equals 9. Then you would subtract 5 and multiply both sides by 4. But if your person's like, oh, I distribute to get 3x plus 4 plus 15 equals 27, you could do that and subtract 15, multiply both sides by 4, and divide by 3. You're going to get the same result. So either way, 16. Here, absolute value is saying, what is your distance from 0? Well, since there's a distance this way and a distance this way, you will always have two solutions. So if my distance is 11, you could be the number 11, or if my distance is 11 this way, you could be at -11. So 2n plus 5 could have been 11, or 2n plus 5 could have equaled -11. So 2n is going to equal 6, n is going to equal 3. 2n equals -16, n equals -18. So your answer is 3, -18. Am I missing something? 2n equals negative 11. Subtract is negative 16. Oh, I didn't divide. I subtracted. I apologize. 8. That makes sense. So 3 and negative 8. Okay. You can always plug back in your answers to check too. Okay, let's keep going. It says solve the proportion. A proportion is two ratios that are equal. You can use cross multiplication. So 1 times 2h is 2h, and 7 times 8 is 56. Now you can solve from here, get rid of 2 by dividing, and h is going to equal 28. All right, number 6. Get a's to one side and numbers to the other. So I'm going to subtract 4a from both sides. I like to get all the letters to the left, then all the numbers to the right. Then divide both sides, and a equals negative 5. Okay. All right, number 7. We have to simplify before we solve. There's a lot going on here. So I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to get 3x plus 4x minus 32. But don't forget, there's an x right here, equals, and distribute here. 3 times 10 is 30, and it's over 5x, plus 3 times 15 is 45 over 5. So take a second, pause the video, and look to see how I distribute that. And does that make sense to you? Well, now we got to simplify before we solve. If you look on the left, there's a 3x, there's a 4x, which is 7x, minus an x, which is 6x. And don't forget about the 32. Here, this is 30 divided by 5, 6x. 45 divided by 5 is going to be 9. When I subtract 6x on both sides, they cancel out and give you negative 32 equals 9. That's okay. It's not a true statement, therefore there is no solution. If it was a true statement, any number would work and be all real numbers. Okay. Number 8, same thing. We have to simplify before we solve using the distributive property. You're going to get 12r minus 8 equals negative 3r minus 21. Well, we're going to bring 3r to the other side. And you're going to get 15r minus 8 equals negative 21. 15r equals negative 13. When I divide by 15, see, this number is not pleasant. That's totally fine. Negative 13 over 15. Okay, and we're going to end with this chapter, and I'll make a part 2. Black and white copies cost 5 cents each. Color copies are 49 cents each. Yeah, they're more expensive. That makes sense. The equation, 5 cents per X copies of white, black and white, 49 cents per copies of color equals 5, represents the number of black and white copies and color copies that can be made with $5. If no color copies are made, which would be 0, if no color copies are made, how many black and white copies would be made? So when it says none, that's 0. 5 divided by 0.05. You can use a calculator. You will get 100. Yeah, you should get a decent number. Yep. Okay, it says, what is the slope of a line between x1, y1, and x2, y2? So what is the change in y over change in x? What is the slope? What is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1? What is the differences between those correspondingly? Well, y2 is 1 and y1 is negative 8. Be careful with the negatives. x2 is 4 and x1 is 2. You're going to get 9 over 2, which is 4.5. D. What is the slope of a line between these 2 points? So we're going to have negative 6 minus a negative 6 over 9 minus a negative 4. You're going to get 0 over 13. Some people are like, is that 0? Is that undefined? Do it in your calculator. 0 divided by 13 is 0, because 0 times 13 is 0. Okay. In 2005, Okay. There was 14,550 CDs. Yes, people still listen to CDs in 2005. Online streaming wasn't available yet. When I first started teaching at McDowell, I remember we banned MP3 players. Okay. So or students could have MP3 players in tutorial, but not in class. It was funny. It's like what cell phones are now. Okay. I would love MP3 players. That way I know you're not on your phone and you're just listening to your music. Anyway, in 2010, it was 12,000. Okay. So what's the rate of change? So as you can see, as time goes on, that technology is decreasing. So this is X1, Y1. This is X2, Y2. We're going from 12,000, subtracting, and yeah, we want it negative. In 2010 minus 2005, that's a 5-year difference. How many differences in CDs? That's going to be 2,500. So when I divide by 5, you're losing, should be 500 a year. Why is my math off? Oh, because I wrote down the wrong number. It's 14,550. 550 goes into 25 5 times once, so 510. So each year they're losing 500 CDs that people are purchasing. Okay. Because of technology. People are just streaming music now. All right. We're going to keep going. We're almost done with chapter 3. It says, what is the graph of negative 1/2 x? Well, when we say we begin with b and we move with m, there's no b here, so we start at 0. All right, so first of all, which one has a negative slope? This is a positive slope. This is a positive slope, okay? Here we go down 1, 2. Okay, it's that. Let's make sure we go down 1, 2, and over 1. So this is a slope of negative 2. This one is of our 1/2. Here, y varies directly as x. So direct variation is just like y equals mx plus b. There is a k between these two things. So, for instance, the further you travel, the more gas you use. There's a direct correlation between them. So here they're saying when y is 5, x is 8. Find y when x is 9. So when y, so you can write it like this, or you can say y over x equals y over x. And you can say when y is 5 and x is 8, find y when x is 9. And it's proportional as well, so you can just do it like this. 9 times 5 is 45. 8 times y is 8y. Divide both sides by 8. Your answer is 45 over 8. Okay, if you get a decimal, you can just figure out which one it is. Number 7, the amount of a spring stretches varies directly. So the amount that a spring stretches varies directly with the weight of the object. So if the weight is really heavy, like think about a slinky. Say you somehow tied a heavy object to a slinky and dropped it. That slinky would stretch versus if you put a feather on it. Okay. So if an 8-ounce weight stretches at 10 centimeters, how much weight will stretch at 15 centimeters? Now I'm allowed to do this as a proportion because it varies directly. So 8 times 5. Well, 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 5 is 40. So that's 120 equals 10W. Divide both sides by 10, 12. So it should be 12 ounces. If that's fast, if any of these are fast, you can stop, rewind, and listen until you need to figure it out. Now, there's words in here. If you're like, I still don't get it, the keywords here and here varies directly. You have this wonderful thing called YouTube. If you type in Algebra 1 varies directly, you're going to get a slew of videos. I'm not saying it just for this class. As you get into higher mathematics, there's going to be times where you have to really learn on your own, especially in college. Okay, so in my higher math classes, I say, I'm not helping you right now. Get out the computer, let some keywords, because I want you to learn how to hunt for yourself, okay? The information, that is. All right. For questions 8 and 9, follow the information. The number of students seated in each row of an auditorium form an arithmetic sequence. So in row 1, there's 4 students. Okay. You don't have to write this, but I'm just kind of showing you. In row 2, there's 7, and it keeps building and building, kind of like the little theater, okay, that you guys probably haven't sat in yet. It says, how many students are seated in the 15th row? There's a rate of change. So if it's an arithmetic sequence, that's in slope-intercept form. I love to use this formula. We just got to fill in our points. Do we have a y1? Yes. Do we have an x1? Yes. Do we have a slope? The rate of change is 3 over 1. So your equation is y minus 4 equals 3x minus 3. Add 4 to both sides. Okay. It says, what about the 15th row? So if I put 15 in for row x, that's 45 plus 1. That's 46. Okay. Which formula can be used to find the number of students seated in a given row? So we have our equation. It's 3x plus 1, 3n plus 1, same thing. Which equation has a graph that is a horizontal line? If you can draw a horizontal line, that means you have a 0 slope. So your y equals 0x plus b. So it's y equals b. I see x here. I see x here. I see an x here. Oh, yeah, if I were to clean this up, it's a y equals equation. So your answer is C. What's the standard form of this? Okay, if we have a fraction, we're going to clear the denominator. I'm dividing by 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2. You're going to get 2y plus 4 equals, the 2's cancel out, and you're going to get x minus 4. But we want standard form, so we're going to bring x to the other side, and we're going to bring that 4 to the other side. But we have to make the front number positive, because that's just the rule. Do we have this somewhere? Yep. Okay. If you're not understanding standard form, this is also chapter 3. You can go in your textbook to chapter 3, standard form. So if you need lessons reiterated, use your textbook, use YouTube, use me, email me, we'll Zoom. Determine the sequence of an arithmetic. Determine which is an arithmetic sequence. So arithmetic is like you add 7, you subtract 2. All right, so let's look at the clean ones, the nice pretty ones, not the negatives. 1 to 1, we didn't add anything. We add 0, we add 1, we add 1. No, that's not arithmetic. We add 4, we add 8, we add, that's not arithmetic. We add 3, we add, no, that's not arithmetic. We add 4, we add 4, we add 4. That is arithmetic. Okay. Chapter 3 is a little long, huh? All right, last one for chapter 3. Which equation describes the nth term of the sequence? Meaning, what describes the nth term if I was trying to find any term? So what do we do every time here? We're subtracting 2. Okay, that's our rate of, we're subtracting 2. So if these are our outputs, our inputs were, this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, this is the fourth term. So your change is, you're subtracting 2 over adding 1, negative 2. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is negative 2. Y is negative 12. X1 is 1. So y plus 12 equals negative 2x plus 2. Y equals negative 2x minus 10. Yep, A. They just have a different notation. I'm not worried about it. Okay, we'll complete 4 through 6 on a separate video.